Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. They tell you what they know.
Do it for Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. Hey. Do it for Deuce and Mo. When it comes to the Kings, it's my favorite show. Do it for Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. Hey. Do it for Deuce and Mo. When it comes to the Kings, big hopes and dreams as we cover our kings. Never cover the kingdom, but we loving our kings. And we covered your prayers as we doing our thing. Big Deuce with the par, Lil Mo on the screen. Solo or together, still do it for team. Never switch up for $1 or revenue stream. So we always got each other, balance out the beam. Deuce and Mo, and that's the end of the thing. So do it for Deuce and Mo.
We are live! Morgan Reagan, when was the last time we were live on a Sunday afternoon?
I feel like we've been live the last couple of Fridays.
But not a Sunday afternoon. I think the last time was the final day of the NBA's regular season when we were so excited about the play-in, huh? Hey!
Playing.
What up, Deuce?
Hey.
Hey, Morgan.
Oh, that's Golden State Valkyries color analyst Morgan Reagan.
Oh!
Yeah. What's up, Jeb? Thanks for coming in Sunday, man.
Let's go, Kane.
Woo! You have no choice, Jeb. No choice.
Jedediah or Jebediah? Oh, we I don't know. I think
Hey.
you get it down, huh?
You named him.
Appreciate you guys hanging out with us live. What are we going to be talking about? What just went down? Game 7. That Thunder. We got a little Thunder clap today. They clap
Today.
the Denver Nuggets. They advance to the conference finals for the first time since 2012 to take on the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Clap.
Talk about that. Talk about Knicks-Pacers. And we got to talk some W. The WNBA is back.
Hell yeah.
First weekend of the league,
Dude.
and a lot of good stuff.
A lot of fun stuff.
I'm all over the Washington Mystics right now. I'm all in.
You're so easily sold.
Dude, they got a bright future.
Yeah. No, it was fun. It was fun starting off the Sunday morning with WNBA basketball and a good game, and then going into a game 7.
That wasn't that great.
That wasn't a good game. Yeah,
let's talk about, we do have a poll question up for people watching us live. Who will win it all right now? Early voting has OKC as the favorite, 61% going to 58%. Now, the other thing I wanted to chat is, who do you want to win it all in the NBA now?
Yeah.
You're down to 4.
Your heart,
Who do
your
you
brain,
want?
your heart.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hit the thumbs up and subscribe. You ready to start the pod?
Yeah.
Do some more. We're coming down. In 3, in 2, 1. Hit my music.
Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. They tell you what they know. Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. The podcast that you know.
Hey, welcome into the Deuce and Mo podcast. Recording this on a Sunday afternoon following OKC clapping some Denver ass. The Thunder all over Denver in Game 7. They advance to the conference finals. So the Final Four is set. And some breaking news at this hour.
Oh. What?
DeMar DeRozan was wrong. The Kings not headed to the conference finals. In fact, 23rd straight year that the Kings will not be in the conference finals.
Shit.
Hey, I'm Deuce Mason. That's Morgan Reagan. This podcast presented by our friends over at Sentivo Vineyards and Winery. How you doing, Mo?
I'm doing fantastic on this Sunday. Woke up to basketball. It had more basketball in the midday, basketball day on a Sunday. And it's just...
And no late night games, which is kind of nice. It feels like, dude, I have so much energy right now. We're
I know,
recording
I'm
this
like-
at 3:14. I'm like,
I could run through a wall right now.
Yeah.
What do you want me to talk about? I could talk about anything. I could talk about things for 10 hours. No, it's nice. I wish that Game 7 turned out differently.
Yeah.
But hey, sometimes you get what you get, and I'm just appreciative basketball's here.
It was not a classic Game 7. We're going to talk about that. We'll talk some Knicks-Pacers. Oh, I cannot wait for that series. It's like a 90s throwback. And we'll talk some W. The WNBA is back first weekend in the books. Actually, one more game about to tip off, but we'll sprinkle in some thoughts on that. Let's start with Game 7, Nuggets Thunder. OKC wins 125-93. Oklahoma City finds a way to get through this series. It was a grueling, grinded out, classic games. It felt like everyone on Denver was banged up. In fact, going into this game, we did not anticipate that we would see Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon suffered a grade 2 hamstring strain in Game 6. No way he's playing.
No way.
Then minutes before the game, we find out he is playing in the starting lineup.
Yeah.
I know Denver lost, but first team all dog. Like a grade 2 strain is a partial tear.
Well, how he didn't even look like okay.
He moved
well,
funny.
yeah. Well, I'll talk about we'll talk about all of that. But I guess my point being you didn't see it on his face. You didn't see him like you know, in his body language. You saw like, if I'm going to go out there with my, muscles torn apart, I'm going to be playing. I'm going to be playing the right way as much as I can to my ability. And you saw it from the start, the way that he would jump off of the other leg and try and tip the ball out on rebounds, but still grabbing rebounds. And then coming down in transition, knocking down a three. Like, could he just be that spot up shooter in this game? And, he ended up only having that 1-3 that he was left open on. 8 points, but 24 minutes. He did everything he could.
11 rebounds. He had 4 offensive rebounds.
11 rebounds. He did everything he could with his body in this game. And I thought the way that the Nuggets came out, maybe they were inspired by him as well. And they punched first, but then OKC punched back and never looked back.
Yeah, they knocked him out.
It
was a knock
them out.
Like by halftime, you went, ugh.
Yep. And
Good
then
luck
start of
clawing
the
out
third,
this.
it was like done.
Yeah, it's amazing that Gordon played through that. And I just think about what he has had to deal with, like personally this year with the loss of his brother. Like,
So sad.
I can't even like fathom.
No.
Right? His brother died in the car accident and trying to navigate that. Then this year he had to deal with like a calf injury that limited him at times, even in the postseason, in that Clippers series. And then this injury.
Well, and you talk about all that as just even for him individually, but then dealing with a coaching change, even like what already your mind is just everywhere. And then you're dealing with even more put on you and this team. And so, for him to fight the way that he did. But my favorite thing about Aaron Gordon wasn't just this series, it was this postseason. The amount of like special games that he had, special
the game
clutch
winner
plays
against OKC, against the Clippers.
Fantastic.
No, he did everything in his power. And that's the thing, like Denver loses this series, but it just felt like there are times they look dead in the Clippers series early on. When I'm like, they don't have it this year.
Yeah.
And there is a tremendous amount of fight. Trying to overcome the Porter injury too. He's dealt with the shoulder thing the entire playoffs. At one point, looking like he had like a shoulder pad on his shoulder. Went with the tape tonight. Jokic was special in moments, and even today, you just think about the attention he drew. We'll talk about the good stuff from OKC because there was plenty. But I just look at Denver, and I thought the fight was there for a team to me that was flawed, but they have the best player in the game, Nikola Jokic, and he showed it so many times throughout. To get this team to this point, I just don't think there are many teams that could have got through some of the things that Denver got through this year, from the injuries, a coaching change, like 3 games to go, and it's just challenging.
Well, and how about also being a team that was capable of getting this deep and not even having depth, not having the bench that they needed to have to achieve certain things. And that just goes to show not only how incredibly dominant that someone like Nikola Jokic is as an individual and how he makes so many people better, but how I felt like even some of the other guys were playing better basketball, elevated their games to wherever they could through their injuries. I mean, you mentioned Michael Porter Jr., and then you think about Jamal Murray over the years, like he always has like a little bit of a nick here and there. And then Aaron Gordon, we already mentioned all of his as well. So it was pretty crazy that they were able to get there, but they kept just staying alive and they kept just playing basketball the right way pretty much until mostly today.
Christian Brown was also really good in this game. He had 19 points, super aggressive in 32 minutes, but Denver gets clapped. And what a turnaround this game was, because there was a 1-point game with like 3-ish minutes to go in the first half. OKC clawed back from being down early. They were down double digits, fight back, and they're doing it with their pressure, their aggression defensively, rebounding well, and getting out and pushing.
Yeah.
And they absolutely destroyed Denver in the paint. I thought they handled Denver's zone much better in this game, finding the gaps. And I think part of that is like going back to Gordon is like him not being able to move like Aaron Gordon impacted things. Like it forced David Adelman to put out some different types of lineups.
Yeah.
And maybe extend minutes that maybe he wouldn't have. I know I'm going a lot of different directions here, but I remembered one more thing.
Yeah.
I hated how they started the second quarter. No Jokic, no Murray, and no Porter to start the second quarter. And it felt like the end of the first was a little bit of a push by OKC. Then they started taking off. And it felt like, to me, in a game 7, you can't make that move.
No. And like you have to have either at least one of your guys on, some of your guys on at all times in that case, because there is no tomorrow and you can rest tomorrow. And that push, not only did it help them with the actual score, but you saw the way that the crowd got into it. It was a fantastic crowd throughout the entire thing, even when they were down. But I just felt like that was the moment. It was like momentum shifter. And then they called that timeout. And then even out of the timeout, after they subbed Jokic back in and maybe Murray as well, it was like they still started going in a different direction. OKC picked up their perimeter defense times 10, steals galore. Jalen Williams had probably like 6 quick points in transition in the fast break.
Remember, Jalen Williams is being guarded by who a lot in this series? Aaron Gordon, and that wasn't the case in this one. I have a really random question for you, Morgan.
Of course you do.
When I start talking about a game, and I'm like, all right, it was this,
Yeah.
and I zig this way and zag back that way. What's going through your mind?
Well, I love it. Sometimes, though, what I do, because I have like a type A personality, I go, ooh, I don't want to forget what I wanted to say about that one topic or another topic. And guess what I do back? I just zigzag back to wherever.
And then I'm like, why are you zigging and zagging?
Yeah, and then you yell at me later and you're like, that's not
I
cool.
can do it, you can't.
Yeah. And
okay,
so what
okay.
we're going to do, what we're going to learn today is that we both can do it, okay?
All right.
This is a team effort. And here's the thing. It's Sunday. We're shooting the shit about this game, having fun. So please, by all means, go everywhere with it.
So we mentioned the close. It was 42-41 with 3:10 to go.
Okay.
Oklahoma City closes the first half on an 18-5 run.
Damn.
To do a full-on outlook of this.
Okay. Good.
Remember, 42-41.
Yeah.
The rest of the game, Oklahoma City outscored Denver by a lot.
Okay.
It's on this page. I'm like, looking at my notes. I have like 3 pages of notes. I'm like, okay, which page is it? It's 42-41 OKC with 3:10 to go. 83-52 the rest of the game.
Whoa.
One thing that Oklahoma City did today that was interesting, we didn't see a lot of the big Jalen Williams.
Yeah.
Who has showed in this series at times, like, to battle Jokic to the best of his ability, can space the floor. Dagnall didn't play him a lot. They decided to go smaller. In fact, Hartenstein didn't start the second half of this game.
And
they started Caruso. Let's start with Alex Caruso. What impressed you with his ability? I can't believe I'm saying this in a game 7. His ability to defend Nikola Jokic in a game 7. Alex Caruso.
It was incredible. He was relentless. He was physical. I think there were so many times where you could absolutely call a foul, but here's my favorite part. When you set the tone right away, and this goes for any player out there, if you set the tone right away, the officiating crew, especially in the postseason, is not going to call every single time that you do something that should be deemed a foul. And I know in a lot of ways it's like, well, that's unfair, but it's like, no, did it actually alter a pass getting to him? Did it alter the shot necessarily? And as long as it's just altering, the way that someone maybe is getting pushed off the high post or where they want to position themselves, then I'm all good with that physicality. I hated playing people like that. It's the worst thing in the world. It's annoying as shit. You know it even in pickup basketball. It's like, we're playing pickup here. What the shit are you doing? But in a game 7, when there's no tomorrow, I loved every moment of it. And I just thought that pressure alone was one of the biggest game game changers. And going off of that, though, really quick, because I wanted to look at his stat line coming off the bench. Yep, only 11 points, 3 assists. And Doris Burke mentioned this even in this game. She was like, if you were going to look at his stat line right now and you'd be like, okay, what's going on? No, he's been one of the most impactful players on the floor, and that's exactly what he did with that.
And I know plus minus, especially in a single game, doesn't mean much. He was a team high plus 40 in his minutes, his 25 minutes. Yeah, I think that physicality, I got to be honest, there's stuff when I watch, I don't know what you do, okay? Because even Doris was mentioning, like, hey, some of the space the offensive players weren't getting. I'm like, yeah, but we can't, like, all of a start. It's too hard to guard these guys in general, right? These talented guys.
Sure.
But going back to the Jokic-Caruso thing, I get what you're saying. The physicality, setting the tone early can dictate things maybe from the officials. But there's sometimes, as if you're big in this league and you're being defended by a smaller guy, it's got to be so irritating because they beat the fuck out of you.
Yeah.
And there's no calls.
Yep.
I mean, they're showing replays of Caruso and like, oh, what great defense. And I'm like, yes. As someone who loves defense, yes. But like, he is grabbing his hip. He is kind of doing
hand
subtle
palm
things.
open.
Grabbing the hip slightly, and it's not a full-on like tug, but it's enough to get someone like Jokic off balance a little bit, and it's the way you should play.
Yes,
but I'm just saying it's a challenge because you look at Jokic after games, and so he's
scratches.
I'm like,
blood.
Did someone take a knife out and cut him
at one point? Yes,
I mean, they beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, no, I understand that, and I think too when obviously the team that I root for the Sacramento Kings. And when I see this go down in a Sacramento Kings game, there are times where I flip-flop on that and I go, oh my God, that took so-and-so completely out of their game and blah, blah, blah. And like, if it's a foul, it's a foul. All those things.
Yep.
Absolutely do I do that. But then when you do get to kind of step away and just like not be a fan of anything but basketball, there's this different level of appreciation for it. At the same time, I can only imagine how the Denver Nuggets fans are feeling today and being like, when are we going to call that a foul? So I get all of the sides.
And with that said, Jokic still had 20 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists
Insane.
on 5 of 9 shooting, 9 of 11 at the free throw line. But he did have 5 turnovers, and that was just the relentlessness. I felt like that really shifted at the end of was that the second quarter? Yeah, when you had the steals by Caruso and Williams, and the crowd just going crazy.
And it didn't stop.
It was amazing. And I think that's one thing you've noticed more so is like, I think some of the better teams, Oklahoma City, Boston, when they are in it, they're fine conceding, like putting a smaller guy on your big, because a lot of times what happens is the teams are going to force feed in that situation.
Yep.
The big's getting beat up and frustrated. So therefore the big is maybe being a little too aggressive. There's offensive fouls, there's forces, there's just tough shots out of it. And for an Oklahoma City team that has so many of those guys who have the strength and the pursuit of the ball, like they can do that shit. It's great.
The thing that we talked about to each other when this was happening and Mark Dagnall went with Alex Caruso starting in that second half over Hartenstein, we just love that he's coaching his team and he's doing the right thing. There's so many teams, players, egos, all these different times where you go, oh, player's really going to screw with this guy's confidence. Oh, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. I hate that shit so much. I go like, put on your big boy pants, right? You know, like do something that's better for the team. Screw your ego right now. And there's so many teams that can't do that. Because of just where the NBA has gone, and coaches have to find that balance of like not pissing someone off, but also trying to coach the right way. When you gain the respect of your front office, your players, and everything else, and winning helps. And
togetherness, it's special.
It's so special when you're able to make those adjustments, do those changes, and guess what it does? It leads to more winning basketball.
Yeah, it's a complete buy-in from that group. And Oklahoma City, let's not act like they were healthy all year. Right, Caruso missed a lot of games this year, and they were careful with him coming back.
Chet
Hartenstein missed a lot of games. Chet, to your point, so they've had to mix and match different lineups, and they've had to try some different things. So yeah, to your point, I admire that Dagnall in a game 7. It's like, no, we're trying to win the game, and Caruso closed well in the second quarter. He did some great things.
Yep,
Hartenstein, you didn't do anything wrong, but we need to win this game.
Yep.
And that's the type of coaching that I think is needed in game 7. it's a fine line too, right? Because you want to trust certain guys, but it's also like, no, we're trying to win a game. And I just witnessed this stretch of really good basketball that's not fluky.
Yeah.
We need to go with this right now and close the door, and that's what they did. They kept it going into the third quarter.
And you said needed in a game 7. I think it's needed all throughout, even a regular
That's
season.
fair.
You know, even with some of these bad teams, I say bad teams, but like the Sacramento Kings too many times were mid throughout their entire season this year, where it's just like, no, you got to be able to try things, but there's just too much shit going on. But going back to it being a game 7, one of the stats that they showed as we went into tip-off was all the players with their game 7 experiences.
Yeah.
And it was like Jamal Murray with 6 game 7s under his belt, you know, Jokic, same, like all these. And then you go to OKC side and there's like one or two over here on this side. And I remember when the game started, I felt like, whoa, those stats meant something because the experience is showing right away, like how these guys prepared for this game, blah, blah, blah. But then once it turned,
they settled down.
Yeah.
I don't know what was said in the timeout. I don't know if they needed to feel out what a game 7 felt like, but the approach after that, those early struggles was all right. Some of the staggering numbers in this game, the points off turnovers, 37-7, plus 30 in favor of OKC in this game. Denver had 23 turnovers in this game. That turned into 37 points. Oklahoma City only had 10 turnovers. Looking at some of the turnovers numbers, Gordon with 4, Jokic with 5, Westbrook 4 in just 22 minutes. Some brutal numbers. Strother, you know, he was kind of the game 6 hero. Wasn't the case today. He had some tough turnovers as well. And, you know, Oklahoma City this was almost like, seeing them do this in a game 7 was very impressive because it's stuff that they did in the regular season. They would get down early and then they would turn it on and run away with it. And throughout this series, there have been moments people questioned them and like, are they ready for this moment? They messed this up, or Dagnall did this, or what's SGA doing here? There was growth in this. And sometimes, especially with a young team like Oklahoma City that has really been on this fast track the last couple of years. They go from play-in to last year, the second round, and down to the conference finals. Sometimes the only way to get through some of this shit is just through experience.
Absolutely.
And just, okay, now I know what that's like. And you mentioned it, Denver had all this experience. OKC did not, but they were prepared for this moment. And they took advantage of some of course, the injuries as well, but they played with a force that was needed.
And that force really did start on the defensive end, and the disruption into so many of those turnovers you just mentioned for the Denver Nuggets. Those 23 turnovers. I mean, it was ugly at times because they were just all up in your face, getting physical with you.
16 steals for Oklahoma City.
Dude, they treated it so much like it was a game 7. And sure, once the momentum was in their hand, they capitalized on it. And I remember when it became a 20-point game, I was like, God, there's still like a lot of the third quarter left. There's a lot of time left. Let's see how this goes. They commanded it. They knew what they wanted to do. And then Denver waved the white flag around that 9-minute, 10-minute mark or whatever in the fourth. Like they waved it early. And then OKC went with their second unit as well.
We should note that Morgan is the type that like...
Yes, I know where you're going. And it's yes.
If you're up 30 with 7 to play, she's like, no, it's not over yet.
Bro.
You would be like Tom Thibodeau. You'd be playing your guys. Like, why are you playing Cats still? You're up 40 and there's 9 to play.
And look who's in the Eastern Conference Finals, okay? Come on. No, and you are the one that said in these playoffs, NBA playoffs, when you turned off the game one time or something, or like you walked away or something, and you're
in
like,
this series, I did it.
Okay. Oh, in this series you did it, but you also did it like in a Warriors-Wolves game or something, and you're just like, all right, it just goes to show. Oh, in a Knicks game, it happened as well. Like it happens, dude. It happens, and you don't want to be the one that misses out.
With Pacers, Cavs, it happened for Knicks, Celtics, and it happened for this series where I'm like, the game's all right. I could switch to the next game. You know, because they overlap.
I always believe.
Also, I am so glad we're done with the overlapping games. I hate it.
That
you know
was
what
bullshit.
I do? Delay the games. Delay the games. I don't want the next game to start until the other one's over because you're putting me in a position to change the channel.
Oh, so
I don't like
angry.
it.
And then they go, oh, doesn't your TV just double box? And it's like, I can't focus on two games. It's like, that's more like white noise. When you have two games on, when people do that, and it's like football, you can do that because the game's slow. It stops. And then you can watch the other game. And then you can watch the other touchdown. And then you go here. But basketball, it's like, holy shit, what am I even watching?
Shout out to the people
Rant.
watching us live right now
Oh,
on
yeah.
this Sunday. Make sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe. A couple of comments before we continue on. What's up, Posey, who says, I hope for a Wolves-Pacers finals. I don't want OKC and their process to be proven right, and Cat doesn't deserve glory. Damn.
That's such
Well, by the way, what's wrong with OKC's process? It's not like they tanked for 20 years. They made a great trade to get SGA, and then they tanked a little bit during COVID. Fine, whatever. Remember, with SGA, Chris Paul, they made the playoffs that year.
Yeah.
No, I have no problem. I like how they built the team, right? And then they drafted well. You draft Chet, and then you get Jalen Williams later. You make some smart trades, getting Caruso and Hartenstein. I have no problem with how they built.
I'm cool with all the teams right now, but I definitely have like my heart, my brain
Okay,
for something.
we'll go over that.
Okay.
Steven says, the first thing that comes to mind when I watch Oklahoma City is that, good grief, I'm sure glad I didn't have to watch the Kings lose by 50 to them 4 times this postseason.
I said that. I said that too. When it was going to be, it's that 1-8 matchup? Yeah. And I remember it was against Memphis, and I was like, dudes, aren't you kind of glad though this isn't like, we don't have to talk about this after the game? He's like, no, because I want the experience for these guys. And all I'm thinking is like, aren't the Kings probably going to make a lot of changes too?
It was for the young guys I mentioned, Keon, Keegan.
Yeah.
And
Sorry.
points in the paint was a big problem for Kings Thunder, remember?
Yeah.
In this game, OKC 64 to 42 points in the paint too.
Damn.
They got them on second chance points 19 to 14. Fast break points 27 to 14.
That
Just
one.
pure and utter domination. Also, they rebounded pretty well in this game. So now OKC advanced to take on Minnesota.
I'm excited.
I do want to ask you this. What's next for Denver?
Oh,
Just
okay.
real fast.
Sure. Before I get excited.
I think when you've got Jokic, you're going to have a chance.
Okay. With anything. Yeah, duh.
He's the best in the game.
Agreed.
Is David Adelman going to be the coach? I feel like
There's
probably.
a possibility.
Yeah, I
Hey,
mean,
with the trend that's going right now, the interim coaches
Yeah.
are all getting the job.
I think David Adelman showed enough. I didn't think he was too big for the moment. Like, I know everyone shares a clip of Jokic, like at one point, like coaching the team and telling them to sub, but I'm like, yeah, but this is Jokic. He is like
As
a
he
coach
should.
on the floor. Like, yes, I have no problem with that. I just also, from a Kings perspective, love Adelman. I'm like, man, Rick was so great. It'd be cool for his son to get this opportunity.
That's why. That's our real reason why.
So I like that. But looking at their contract situation, it's not pretty.
Okay.
Morgan.
Okay. This is what I wanted to know.
Okay, so Jamal Murray's extension kicks in, and that's just one you look at and you go, man, what's that going to look like in years to come?
Ooh.
Yeah. You just made the face. Next year, he makes 50.4. And the season after that, 54.4, 58.4. And then the final year, 28-29, 62.5.
Can I just think if anyone's making 60+ million a year, you should be like saving the world. You know?
Okay, well, that's a different argument.
I know, and I just laugh because it is so crazy seeing these contracts now. And again, the greats, I get it, they deserve all of it, but sometimes like it is insane when you really put the dollars on it. You're like, holy shit.
So we go over Murray's contract. Porter, he's at 38 next year, 38.3, and then the final year is 40. So it's not like a long-term thing. And then Aaron Gordon is at 22. It jumps to 31, 34, and then an option for 37. So those are like their core guys. You have to imagine Porter is gone this offseason. If they're going to tinker anything. I mean, if you're Denver, are you just trying to run it back around them? We don't know what their front office is going to look like. There's just a lot of big-time questions. And I think the reality, too, is like, you know, Denver is probably in a way looking at this going, and I know this thinking may be dangerous.
Okay. Let's hear
But
it.
from an optimistic standpoint,
Love this.
if you're the Nuggets leadership, you're going, Gordon was hurt. He had a calf thing, a hamstring thing. Porter's playing with one good shoulder.
Uh-huh.
The depth wasn't where it needed to be, hence why we made the GM change to begin
Yeah.
with.
Yep.
David Allen took over tough circumstances, handled himself well, and if Gordon doesn't get hurt in Game 6, you never know like what today looks like. Like we're not that far because we have Jokic.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you just run it back. I think you do have to tinker and try to figure out ways. But that's a challenge, right? When you're in this new salary cap world with the aprons of how do you tinker and get better?
It's tough because for them not having a complete roster to get as deep as they did under all the other health circumstances, coaching, all the things, it is impressive.
Yep.
It just goes to show how great Nikola Jokic is. And because he is that great, you gotta capitalize on it. You gotta find out any damn way to make sure you are trading, getting whatever you need to put around him while he still is going to give you any type of chance to have that championship window.
It doesn't feel like Jamal Murray's deal would be that movable. I think the most intriguing one maybe for teams would be Porter because you don't want to move Gordon. Gordon's still a good deal. And that's probably the best way to try to
just crazy
tweak some things. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, I think the big thing about the playoffs, and maybe it's like this every year, and I'm being a prisoner of the moment, but Zach Lowe said something on his podcast that stuck with me, is it seems like in recent years, and I'm paraphrasing, that the healthiest teams are the ones in it at the end. And it's hard to discount that, right? You look at the Boston Celtics out. Jason Tatum goes down.
Yeah.
We find out that Jaylen Brown was playing with a torn meniscus.
Jeez.
And so Tatum ruptured Achilles, Porzingis, like whatever. I don't know what the hell's going on, right?
I know.
So that,
Okay.
Cleveland, you had Hunter was banged up, Garland, Mobley.
Yep.
Like they had, and Donovan Mitchell ends up getting hurt,
Yep.
right? Okay. They're out. This series, Denver, banged up. Golden State, Jimmy gets hurt at one point. Steph misses the rest of the series after game one. So here we are, and it's like, oh, OKC, everyone's pretty healthy.
Yeah.
Minnesota, yeah. The Knicks, I know OG's dealt with something. I feel like he's always on the cusp. And the Pacers, the healthiest teams are there at the end.
But you know what's crazy? When you look at the healthiest teams here at the end, you look at the New York Knicks. It's not like they were big into time management.
Well, and last year at this time, they were banged up, right? Brunson, OG gets hurt.
And everyone blamed it on that. And
Yep.
so I think, and I'm not acting like just because of this one time that they're not injured and they are actually here, that's not the case. But I just sometimes think load management is not necessarily the right thing that we're looking at. I think in a lot of ways, some of these guys that can condition and go, can end up being better and healthier toward the end. Sure, there's going to be those freak accidents with Tatum, with even Steph Curry, with Aaron Gordon. Like that's sports. Like that's going to happen in this very physical game that you put a lot on your body for. But at the same time, yeah, it's very true. When it comes to health, you look at Tyrese is healthy and playing his best basketball. And now he's in the Eastern Conference Finals.
And it also just goes to show you shit changes fast in this league, and championship windows can open and close just like that.
Do that again?
Boston's.
Whoa.
You look at Boston now, like Tatum's going to be missing the entire year next year. They've got new ownership. All of a sudden you're watching Drew Holiday, and like a year ago, you're like, oh my God, this guy is everything. Now, like, oh God, is he getting old? But like, he's still good. But it's like, okay, new ownership. The aprons that we were just talking about. Porzingis' future. Horford, like, is 37, 38 years old. People thought they were going back to back, and now they're going into next year going, are they going to blow some of this up, take like a bad year, and then kind of, once Tatum's back, they'll have a good draft pick and just kind of see what it looks like. I don't know. It's just intriguing to see where they go and where Golden State goes and Denver. It changes really fast.
Well, and it's also intriguing because you think about some of the best in the game right now with LeBron James. And I say best thing, I'm going to like name stars too. But still playing such high level of basketball. LeBron, Steph, you think about someone like Nikola Jokic, you always think about like when they get 1 year older, but especially the guys that are, mid-30s. It's just like, holy shit, how do we still find a way to capitalize on some of these guys and what they can offer out here? It just puts it. I think it's very intriguing for the league. I think it creates a lot of fun, different storylines and angles going into next season specifically.
Yeah, and think about this: 7th season in a row, we will have a different champion. No repeat champion.
Love that for everyone, because that means there's a chance for everyone.
We'll talk about the conference finals coming up.
Okay.
Knicks-Pacers, Wolves-Thunder. Well, my heart, my brain it.
Okay. Oh.
And we'll talk some WNBA. I should mention that today's podcast presented by our friends who are at Sentivo Vineyards and Winery.
We've been drinking it all summer long, and so can you. You can go to sentivovineyards.com. You can get all of their wine there. They have, I mean, I'm not kidding when I say it's some of the best wine I have ever had, and it's local. And it's a family-owned business, and they're all Kings fans.
You don't have to be in Sacramento to order.
Oh, no, you don't.
You could go online.
You can go online and get it anywhere. And I'm not kidding. I want you to try it and just tell me if I'm correct, because I know I'm going to be right about this. I wouldn't say I'm a wine connoisseur, but I know what the hell I like. And I've liked every single bottle of Sentivo. So make sure to go to sentivovineyards.com.
Also presented by our friends over at
Medic Ambulance. We are thrilled to team up with Medic Ambulance, the trusted name in emergency medical services across Northern California. From life-saving responses, being the team behind the scenes at your favorite events, Medic is the official emergency medical response partner of the Sac Republic and Sac State Athletics. Learn more at medicambulance.net.
Also presented by our friends over at Underdog, is one of the best places to make picks during the playoffs. Underdog is one of the leading sports apps, and you can play now in your state. The app has over 100,000 five-star reviews and millions of players. Playing on Underdog is a layup. Just download the app, then pick higher or lower on a player's stats like points, assists, and more. Once your picks feel good, you could play with as little as $1. If you get everything right, you can win up to 1,000 times your money. Hey, this week on Underdog, you could look at someone like Jalen Brunson. I think for game 1, 28.5 points. You could decide higher or lower on that.
Cheers.
Big time player. So download the Underdog app and sign up with promo code DM Podcast to unlock a special offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. I was shocked when I read that. When you make your first deposit. That's promo code DM Podcast. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. All right, let's talk some conference finals, Morgan Reagan.
Let's do it.
It is all set. Wolves Thunder. Since we're just talking Thunder, the Western Conference Finals, what I love about this setup, okay?
Okay.
Let's just break it down like this.
Yeah.
Minnesota has never won a championship.
Copy that.
They've never been to the finals.
Holy.
OKC has never won a championship. Their last appearance came in 2012. Now, if you go on Wikipedia and you look at Oklahoma City and say, oh, no, they've had all these championships. No.
Shit.
Basketball sickos. That's not OKC. Some people remember the Seattle Supersonics, and even if OKC has their history right now, we do not allow OKC to, what's the word?
Are you trying to take on, include?
You're not allowed to have Seattle's history. It's not yours.
It's not yours. It's not even the same city.
It's not your championship.
No.
Okay, that was Seattle's. Just like
you.
the Kings. People might cite the 1951 Rochester Royals.
No.
We don't. We cite Sacramento 1985 to now. And all those 11 winning seasons during that span.
Yeah!
Anyway, also we got the Pacers. They have never won a championship in the NBA. They did it in the ABA back in the day. The last time they made the NBA Finals, 2000.
Whoa.
When they lost to the Lakers. The Knicks, believe it or not, have not won a championship since 1973.
Really?
And their last appearance in the finals came in 1999. So you think about it. 1999 for the Knicks, 2000 for the Pacers. Oklahoma City hasn't been there since 2012. They've never won one, and the Wolves have never been to the finals. That makes for a pretty intriguing look here at the conference finals with Wolves Thunder coming up.
So fun. And that's so fun because I think, you know, for all the other years when obviously the Warriors were very big in their championship window and it just always felt, oh, it's going to be the Warriors and the Cavs, or it's going to be, you know, Heat and whoever else when LeBron was there. Whatever. It's so fun when it changes up. And I think there's some casuals out there that are like, I only like it when it's the Warriors or the Lakers or, you know, whoever else. I think this is such a great combination of teams, especially for maybe some casuals that are like, oh, Knicks, I know them, you know, but for the basketball sickos, this shit is going to be so fun.
Well,
I'm so excited.
I think the league will like this. It's got some of your young stars. Tyrese Halliburton.
Yes.
It's got Anthony Edwards. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's going to be right up there in the MVP conversation,
Absolutely.
right? And then Jalen Brunson, who's not as young as those guys, but is a big-time performer who plays in a major market. So I think there's a lot to like there. With Wolves Thunder, it's a fascinating series. I just don't feel like the Wolves have completely been tested. I don't think the Lakers were really good. And I didn't walk away from the Warriors series super impressed with them, especially considering you didn't have Steph Curry for most of that series.
Sure.
It felt like more of a grind than it needed to be. But I also think they're capable of playing better than they played in the playoffs.
I agree with that.
They have gotten some additional rest. I just wonder if they're able to deal with the perimeter pressure that Oklahoma City can put on, just with the amount of guys and coverages that they could throw at Anthony Edwards. Can Minnesota handle that?
It's not even about if McDaniels and other guys aren't making their shots. Like, what are they going to look like? It's not even about that. It's not about Ant just taking over. It's about them playing like a team. And I feel like when they did play, it was never consistent when they would play like a team, right? But when they did, it was beautiful basketball. Like people were moving, things were happening. I mean, Rudy Gobert was playing his role of rebounder, cleaning things up, putting it back up, being aggressive in that role. And his shot selection is so much better in those situations. Obviously, Mike Conley's making his outside shots while being able to take it in and still get those floaters and one, you know, like you see those things happen and it flows so much better when they do play like that type of team. I think this perimeter pressure from OKC is going to disrupt so much of that when it does, what's their answer?
Yeah, and Julius Randle has been phenomenal in the playoffs. I think you can make the case like he's probably been Minnesota's most consistent and best player in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Not to take anything away from Ant.
Not at all.
I love Ant. But Julius, you know, he's had his own postseason demons in years past, and he's performed well. And I think he's also been, for the most part, he's limited his mistakes.
Yeah.
Because he can bring some chaos sometimes. He's a guy that I think is the X factor in this. I think they have proven that they can maybe get through things when Ant is maybe off of his game a little bit, maybe not being efficient, because Anthony Edwards has made better decisions dealing with double teams. I think Oklahoma City just presents so many different looks and has so many different guys that will limit him in some ways. And so you're going to need Julius Randle to play awesome and mistake-free. To me, it's all about the others. And the example we saw today, like all the turnovers that Oklahoma City forced, they thrive off that shit. And it's what they do all the time. Like when you've got Lou Dort, who could be physical, he'll bump you, he can get turnovers, right? You've got Jalen Williams' ability to guard, and he can score.
Yeah.
And then you add someone like Caruso, who every time he comes into the game, it feels like there's an energy shift. We haven't even mentioned some of the other guys.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I just give Oklahoma City the edge. It's like, I'm not trying to discount Minnesota, because I think when they're at their peak powers, when the ball is moving, when Ant's knocking down shots and the supporting cast is there, they look like they can beat anybody.
Yeah.
But this is going to be by far their toughest challenge.
But I think also when we saw, like, just to be a little bit of a prisoner of the moment of OKC in this last series against Denver, it was like when they weren't locked in and acting like the number one team in the West, you saw it. You saw them let up in a team, being the Denver Nuggets, would capitalize on them getting soft for a second or just not being locked in defensively, or when they're missing their shots. They never look down. Like they always look professional out there and everything, but then they turn to hero basketball. SGA, can you get us a basket? You know, like those times happen with OKC. And if you're Minnesota and any of those times happen, because I don't feel like Minnesota's defense is necessarily going to create all of that against OKC, but when it happens with OKC, you have to make sure you're capitalizing on it, pushing it in the fast break, playing fast, doing all the little things perfectly.
Yeah, Dante DiVincenzo had a pretty quiet series too. He hasn't been shooting the ball efficiently. So he's a guy that, I think we saw it last year in the playoffs too for the Knicks, where you're like, okay, he's not afraid of taking big shots, but he has that Caruso-like energy to his game, I think, especially defensively. So can he be a big factor? McDaniels, to your point, his length can definitely bug guys. His problem has been getting into foul trouble at times. When he could stay on the floor and not get in foul trouble, Minnesota is a different team. And then Gobert's ability to alter shots is obviously very impactful, right? So I'm giving OKC the edge. I would say OKC in 6 if I was making a prediction. I'm not going to ask Morgan to make one because she never does. She's a coward.
Thank you.
Those aren't my words.
Whose
Those are
words?
the words of viewers across the world.
Okay. Oh,
but
wow.
do you give OKC the edge? Where are you leaning? Who do you think?
Yeah, if I'm leaning right now, because I'm being prisoner of the moment of what I just saw with OKC, but also of what I just saw with the Wolves. What I thought that they should have given it to the Warriors as soon as Steph went down.
Yeah.
And it just didn't feel like that in any of the games.
And it almost feels opposite. Like Minnesota has the ability, they look like they get up big and then they let off.
Yeah.
Where OKC maybe gets down a little bit and then they turn it on.
And they don't stop.
Just go through the finish line. They run through it. I hope it's a great series because I just think from just Anthony Edwards and this test, if there's anyone that can maybe handle a test like this, and it's really good for him too as a young player, it's him. He has the utmost confidence. He's looking at this series going, dude, I went through LeBron and Luka and Jimmy, playoff Jimmy's here and Steph. I did it. Now OKC, I could do this.
Yeah, I'm sure. I never doubt his confidence.
Yeah,
that's for
I love
sure.
the confidence. So I'm excited to see this series. Bring on the conference finals.
Yes.
But the Eastern Conference Finals, holy shit.
Drama. Or it just feels like.
I mean, you think back to last playoffs, right? It's always been chippy, but last playoffs, the Knicks probably feel like that was their series and they should have won that series. And I think they look at this series and go, if OG stays on the floor and is able to play and Brunson stays healthy, we win that series.
Yeah.
And we go to the conference finals. That's not what happened. And Indiana was able to go to the conference finals before they got smacked by Boston. And Indiana, I think, is the team that's going, we're being overlooked a little bit now. The Knicks,
they play like it.
Just got through a series in which they beat up a Boston team that was pretty banged up, but they got the job done. And they advance.
Yeah.
Knicks-Pacers. So you think about that, and then you think about what happened in late June last year in a WWE event where Halliburton and Brunson have a little, I don't know, not an altercation, a moment together in WWE.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? With Logan Paul and LA Knight. Yeah. That was a bad.
That was really bad.
That was really bad. How does that sound like?
Let me talk to you.
What were you trying to say?
Because he says after, and it was
he
not
does?
a very good one. Yeah. Wow.
Let me talk to you.
Yeah. Anyway, not very good. I'll admit that.
Okay, thank God.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Like you just think about this. One for the league and for the WWE. You have these two NBA players that you have on your broadcast, and then they end up in the conference finals against each other the following year.
It's cool.
And you think about it from TNT, they have the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to be if they have the rights to show it, they're going to show. I mean, that's all part of it, right? It's all part of the drama. And you go back to the Knicks-Pacers history from the 90s. Mm-hmm. Oh, and guess who was on the call for the conference finals?
Who?
Reggie Miller. Who did the choke to the New York Knicks and the Spike Lee. So it's just, there's so much drama. involved with Reggie being in the building for game 1 of this series. The Pacers like to do a little chirping. This is going to be a lot of fun.
I love all those angles. I love reality television. I love pop culture angles thrown in there. And so the fact that Tyrese has always been a massive WWE fan and got that moment with Jalen Brunson, the way that Knicks fans feel about Tyrese Halliburton and the Pacers. And also that crowd was just phenomenal in this series against Boston. I can only imagine it's going to be times 10 insane.
Did you see the streets after that?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they were partying like they won the championship.
Well, yeah. And I mean, that's, you can only imagine what they're going to be like when they win each game. And that's why this series, just from all of those angles, like the off the court angles, exciting, fun, drama, give it to me. Now it needs to live up to it on the floor. I need everyone to stay healthy. That's the number one thing.
You know what? I'm with you.
You know, because
Can you imagine if I was like, you know, Morgan, I wouldn't mind an injury or two. Let me push back on that.
I'd be like, you're psycho.
Yes,
Yeah.
please, because I'm so sick. This is one narrative I'm sick of in the playoffs.
Yes.
Is like, well, this team only made it because of these injuries, and it's like,
If
you know
Steph
what?
didn't go down, it's
We
like,
can't hold this against these teams
I
that
know.
win though, because guess what they can do? They just play the people that are on the court, who
Yeah.
are on the court. They're not.
they don't.
There's
they
no
don't-
voodoo going
There you
on,
go.
right? There's no like special, spell that Tyrese has sprinkled on teams going, I hope you get hurt.
You didn't see that one woman with the voodoo doll on Jalen Brunson?
I think I might have
And
seen
she
that on
was
social media.
instead she was doing reverse voodoo and she was icing his ankle and
Ooh.
just putting ice on it before every single game. Really funny. But yeah, there's none of that shit. So hopefully I just need two healthy teams going at it. I want this to go to 7 games. Duh.
I think this, if I
think
were
it
to
can?
predict it, I think it's going 7.
Who you got in 7 then?
I don't know, man.
Oh, I'm the coward. I heard all the people calling you a coward.
I think if it goes 7, I have a tough time seeing the Pacers winning a game 7 at Madison Square Garden. It just seems like there's just almost no way. It just seems crazy to me in that if everyone's healthy and
other
all
things
things are equal.
that can't happen. Tyrese can't have a let up game. You can't have a let up game. And I think when we saw that even in that last series, I forget whatever, it was like a 4-point game, a 6-point game or something. It was just, maybe that was in Milwaukee series, whatever. It happened in the playoffs. And with what he's doing at the end of games, incredible. Like making up for some of those games, getting them to the Eastern Conference Finals, all those damn things. But in this series, you can't allow this Knicks defense to take you out of the game. You got to keep moving without the basketball. You got to keep making sure that even if the ball isn't in your hands, that you are disrupting and being a threat on the offensive end and finding other ways to create.
Yeah. Indiana, I think, is being overlooked. They dealt with their own injuries this year. They're the stretch early in the season when Tyrese looked like, I'm like, is he okay? Like he's got the back thing and like, you were looking at his road home split numbers and wondering if there was something to the fact of like, oh, he's not sleeping in his own bed. The amount of conversations about Tyrese Halliburton to start the year, the first couple of months, it was like, oh my God. And then, Neesmith missed time. Nemhard missed time. They played a lot of road games early on. But once it kind of got right, you saw what they do well.
Mm-hmm.
And they are the best word. They're in a way, I mean this in the most respectful way.
Oh.
I feel like they've kind of, I'm not going to call them OKC light because that sounds disrespectful.
It does. But
there's some similarities there in terms of the relentlessness. I think they're more relentless offensively than Oklahoma City is. The ability to space you out, the different looks that you can get. It's not just one guy, right? It's Tyrese can get going from beyond the arc, throw some amazing passes. They're awesome on the break. Turner can space you out with his 3-point shooting, and then of course he'll come down and block your shot and dunk on you.
Siakam can get to the rack
Siakam.
and get in the mid range.
Nemhard is just an absolute dog. And then seemingly there's someone off the bench that could be impactful, like Benedict Mathurin has had some really great
Absolutely.
games. He has that kind of dog mentality, right? Obi Toppin, all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, how he's 5 of 6 from downtown.
Shit, sometimes when you need that energy spurt, you put McConnell in.
Morgan, TJ McConnell.
Yes.
His energy. I'm all about the energy shifters in the playoffs.
Yes.
Caruso's that. TJ McConnell can be that for Indiana. Mathurin can be that. And I think Indiana has like we talk, they've got depth. And Carlisle's not afraid to play a lot of guys, and they can hit you in different ways, but it's not like they're just an offensive team either. I think they've shown a lot of growth on the defensive end of the ball where they just kind of cause havoc out there, and the numbers back it up. So when I look at all things considered, I'm like, I think Indiana is ready for this challenge. And it's something you said earlier that I completely agree with. It's like with Halliburton, like there's no 4-point games.
Nope.
And if you have a 4-point game, it better be because you like are
Siakam
4 of
was going
17.
off
Or,
and-
yeah, or no, maybe you're just missing shots.
Oh, I
You just
see.
can't be, hey, 4 points on 8 shots. I only took 2 in the second half. It's
Yes.
finding ways to impact the game. You know, Tyrese doesn't have to be a guy that gets 25 a night. You just have to feel his presence out there with his off-ball movement, his spacing, and his ability to pass the ball. I think the Pacers are ready for this moment. I would not be surprised if we were talking in a couple of weeks, hey, Indiana's in the NBA Finals. As a Kings fan, how would that make me feel?
Oh,
I don't know. Can I be honest? This is where I am the most all over the place with my emotions. On one hand, I love the Pacers. I love watching the Pacers. They're a fun team to
They're
watch.
so fun.
If Tyrese Halliburton had never played for the Kings, I'd be like, dude, I want the Pacers to win it all. But just because Tyrese played in Sacramento, I'm like, I can't have him root. But I'm like, well, why? He didn't ask to be
and
traded.
I love him.
He wasn't like, trade me. He wanted to be here. The Kings traded him.
Be here.
They traded him, so I should be mad at the Kings and not be rooting against Indiana.
do
Because
this.
why? Because if he gets knocked out in the conference finals, all of a sudden that makes the Kings look better. No, it doesn't. So, like, how about I just embrace, like, the fun of basketball and hope for some great games? And if Indiana does it, whatever. Guess what? Being a Kings fan was hard before Tyrese. It's hard post Tyrese. It is what it is.
Yeah. I like that. I
Yeah,
really like that.
think.
Yeah, see, and you might go back and forth
Yeah, no,
when
and I
some
will
big
admit
moments
that.
happen, be like, oh my God, holy shit, he could be doing that in Kings jersey, whatever. But it's like, no, it's like ultimately it's so easy to root for a good person and a good person and a good player. Like all of the things. And to see him grow through all of his injuries and health and whatever else that was going on, to be the player that he is now and to be so likable and to play with so much joy. Like, yes, I root that on. And sure, there's a little part of my heart that will always cry inside, and it always will. But I am just rooting for him to do well because that means the Pacers will do well, and that means that it will be a great series, and that's what I want to see.
Yeah, and I also think it's a team. I think there's people out there that wonder if they are ready for some physicality. I think they are. It's not like the Knicks are a different team than last year too. Like they have changed a little bit. We've seen teams pick on Cat on the offensive end. They're going to go ahead and go at him and put him in action. And you could definitely see Indiana having the ability to do that too, to try to make his life a little more challenging. And I think they've got some pests that could at least make life more challenging for Jalen Brunson, even though, Jalen Brunson, like he could be against one of the best defenders in the league, and he can hit a tough shot. We've seen that in that Celtics series as well. It didn't matter who was on him, Derek White, Drew Holiday. He cooked. I feel like I'm doing all this talking, and I'm like in my head going, the Pacers are going to win this series.
Okay.
I think we're getting the Pacers
Wow.
and the Thunder in the NBA Finals.
Whoa, that's your prediction right now?
Yeah.
I love when you predict.
But I think that it's going to be a
'Cause I
great
won't.
series with the Knicks and Pacers.
I love it. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm there.
Yeah. He's there.
It seems crazy.
When you really like say
Pacers
it out loud.
Thunder NBA Finals. The league would be like, are you fucking kidding? We get the Oklahoma City market in Indiana.
And we love that.
But if the league would do anything to have the Knicks in. Don't discount that.
Okay. So let's look for all the rigged.
Yeah,
games
we're gonna be
that-
like, this official is totally in the Knicks bag. Brunson,
he was born in New York.
Oh my God, if Brunson has a game where he shoots like 30 free throws, well, what's happening here?
100, we're going down conspiracy lane.
No, but in all honesty, I think the league, this Final Four is great for the league.
I love
And
it. Well, of
the
course I
NBA
do.
ratings have been great, but it's because of these young stars that are in it. And yeah, I think when the Knicks are good, it's just fun. Their fan base is amazing, and they have a lot of confidence right now, right? Like Brunson at a high level. I think Mikal Bridges is starting to play the best basketball he has played.
Mm-hmm.
OG has shown flashes of being like a legit two-way guy. And they thrive off that atmosphere.
So you want that, or so you think it would be
I'm predicting
OKC, Pacers.
Yes.
But if it was Knicks and Wolves, there'd be so many other little storylines and angles and fun. Cat being number one.
I mean, let's rewind for a second.
Okay,
I don't want to do like a full-on NBA Finals preview here, but just think about the possibilities with a Knicks-Wolves Finals. They made that trade like days before training camp.
Correct.
It shocked the NBA world when Karl Anthony Towns got traded to the Knicks. DiVincenzo and Randall go to the Wolves. And I'll be honest, I was like, I feel like the Wolves got worse. They could be going, they have a legit shot of getting to the NBA Finals. And so, yeah, you would have the angles of Cat taking on his former team, Randall and DiVincenzo taking on their former team, literally the same season in which they got traded for each other. It would be magical. Yes.
I know.
So many good storylines.
The basketball gods would be definitely putting that one on. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to be the case. But if it were, again, just fun. There's a lot of fun angles coming up in a lot of these games, and I like the extra juice, the extra drama.
What's your heart want for the finals? What's your honest heart want?
You know, I have loved OKC as a team all year long.
Yeah.
I haven't loved the way they've played in this postseason just all together. Just, every single game. Whatever.
They smacked Memphis.
I know, and I think I got to be like bored in that series. So I'm like more just going off of like, how I felt, whatever. So I want OKC. I want to watch them in the finals. And I'd probably rather see a Pacers matchup just because there is more depth. And I do worry about the Knicks getting beat up in this series. Even like, let's say the Knicks find a way to beat the Pacers. I'm just like, how the hell do you put you have five guys basically?
Your heart wants OKC.
Okay, yeah. Heart wants OKC Pacers.
Okay. Your brain thinks.
Okay, I think I'm gonna go with my brain thinks OKC Knicks.
Okay. My brain thinks OKC Indiana. My heart, Wolves Knicks would be fun.
Okay.
I'm going back and forth. I don't know.
Yeah,
I want the Pacers too, but I kind of like the idea of Anthony Edwards being in the finals is so intriguing to me, and I think he has the potential to be like that face, and it'd be cool to see him in that moment.
Like, there's all these different
like for him to wouldn't that be big for the league if Anthony Edwards conquered Oklahoma City and got to the NBA Finals to take on the Knicks? I'm thinking about just from a league. Do I work for the league? No, but I feel like I'm like
yeah.
I'm like
Are we sure? Show me your badge.
I'm Adam Silver's assistant right now. Like this, we need Minnesota.
How do we find the right officials for this?
I don't know. I think there's a bad option. I'm copping. I don't know. It's a cop out, but I don't. Whatever we get, I'm gonna be happy about.
It's like having all these good like ice cream scoops, and it's like, well, no matter what, they're gonna taste good.
Like I may not order, I don't know, a Butterfinger Blizzard all the time, but if that was my only option, like I'm eating a Butterfinger Blizzard. I'm usually doing cookie dough. I want cookie, but Butterfinger. Oh, we only have Oreo. Oh well, I'm eating it.
Yeah.
Now, if it was like I don't know
M&M, I don't do that.
M&Ms, I would do that.
I couldn't do the M&Ms.
But there's no. What's the worst option we have? There's no bad option.
M&Ms would be like, oh, Memphis made it.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about what the team's left.
Oh, sure.
We got 4 good Blizzards.
Yeah. We got Oreo, we got cookie dough, we got Butterfinger, and
Reese's.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah.
Oh no.
I'll take all 4. Okay.
Exactly.
Give me a hell yeah.
We're not fatties.
We'll definitely have a podcast and coverage of the NBA Conference Finals, although Morgan Reagan is extremely busy. I honestly feel grateful right now that I am in the presence of the color analyst for the Golden State Valkyries, her limited schedule with games all the time.
This is not true. We're always doing this.
No, but it does shift the schedule a little bit. Which is great. It's a great problem to have.
Yeah.
Speaking of the WNBA, yes, the Golden State Valkyries had their first ever game. WNBA opening weekend was interesting too. I do want to talk about the Valkyries. Their first game against the LA Sparks in front of 18,064 fans at Chase Center, the highest attendance for any team's home debut in WNBA history. They lost the game 84-67. Before we get to the game.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what were the emotions like, man, for you?
For me?
Yeah, well, what the hell?
You know,
first WNBA game in the Bay Area's history.
Yeah, I understood the moment. And so, I mean, I prep a lot for games. Like, I prep a lot because I also work with you, and Deuce has very high standards, and you can't like get anything wrong. He would be like the professor that you wouldn't want to have, but would only make you better. That is what, so like going into this game, I've took so much of what like Deuce has always put on me and was like, okay, I'm just studying up 24/7. So I felt very prepared. I felt great. And then being there, I finally got to like take a step back, take it in and go, holy shit, this is one of my dreams come true. And it was awesome. It was a dream come true. It was really cool. And then as I was calling the game, you know, one thing that I've noticed from Deuce over the years of calling games with him is that, again, he's tough love. It's a lot of tough love. He'll tell you when you do good at the end of like the next day, but like you get a lot of, hey, when you're going here, are you going to be generic or are you going to break it down? Like, which thing are you going to do? Like, understand the craft of being a color analyst.
I'm sorry. Are you talking about me or Greg Popovich as a coach? Because you're talking about someone that sounds very iconic and like
so when Deuce does this,
and
he already has done this throughout the preseason, but in this first game, he literally texted me and said, this might be one of your best analysis, one of your best games as an analysis or like as an analyst, just from an analysis standpoint. But now lock the fuck in. That's literally what he texted me. Like, don't get excited that you're doing well. Lock the fuck in, and you got a lot. He said, a lot of game left. Lock the fuck in.
Okay, a couple of things. I think there was like a second half left. I think that was a halftime message. So,
Yeah.
there was a lot of games.
Yeah. And so I felt good. And the fact that you complimented me like in mid game felt really good.
Well,
So thanks.
here's the thing. Okay. And we are definitely going to be talking a lot of WNBA on the podcast. And we did a little bit last off season.
But now we're locked in even more.
You have to be locked in more.
Yep.
You know, I'm coming at my WNBA. I'm coming at it. Let me rewind.
How do
it.
I put this?
I watch so much NBA because like during the Kings season, that's all I do. It's Kings games. And then if I'm off, I'm watching NBA games all the time. And usually I get to the off season and that day-to-day grind of the NBA season is gone. So I've always like watched the WNBA. I've watched it more the last few years, but like I pick and choose, like, cause I'm not doing a podcast on it. I'm not gonna do it every single night. But now it's like, wow, the Bay Area's got a team. You're involved. I'm like more locked in now. And
completely.
But my point is, we're like learning a league. And the thing is like, I'm not going to pretend like I know every single player. Like in the NBA, I feel like I know every player.
Yes.
For the most part.
But like, yes, down the bench.
I'm a hardcore NBA fan.
I mean, we do G League for God's sake, so we even know their G League players.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Or W, it's like I know some, but I would call myself going into this. I'm a casual. Like there's stuff. I'm not with the game, but with players. I don't know every single assistant coach and every single player and all the depth charts is my point. So when we talk about the league, and if there's some hardcore WNBA fans, they're like, what are you guys talking about? We may not know some shit.
Or we're still gaining our knowledge as well, but like doing it quickly. And and by the way, it's been so fun because I know for us, like we just love the shit out of basketball, but it's even more fun when you have like a reason to seriously lock in. And so me becoming the color analyst has made us both be like, okay, let's lock into W. So that's why going back to now the game that happened, the first game of the season, Golden State lost to the Sparks, but
it was 84-67 in that game. Kelsey Plum making her LA Sparks debut, 37 points. She got loose in that third quarter with 17 in the third quarter. My takeaway with Golden State, it's an expansion club, and they may not want to be viewed as an expansion club. Yeah. And I get all that, but
a new team.
From a talent perspective, it's not like they have like a star. It's not like their rookies are playing right now. So if they're going to like be successful, and what's that mean for an expansion team, but like be competitive, it's going to be because they play their asses off defensively. They share the ball and they don't make a ton of mistakes. I felt like they checked some of those boxes in game one against the LA Sparks. but they had 22 turnovers
I
in
know.
that game that turned into 25 points. So that was really, really tough for them. And I think that's where you look at the guard spot. Like, I like Tiffany Hayes. She's a bucket,
Yeah.
but there's a lot more pressure. There's a difference between being a sixth person like she was last year
Yes.
with a championship caliber team in the Aces. And now you're going to be like atop the scouting reports now. So when you drive, you may not have that same lane because Asia Wilson's not there and Chelsea Gray's not on the floor with you, Kelsey Plum. And so I think it's going to be an adjustment for her. She made some mistakes. Van Loo, I felt like, did a good job getting them back in it with a few threes, but she had 6 turnovers
Exciting
in the game.
player.
But what's your kind of read on what you saw after the first
Yeah.
game?
And I think for anyone too, if you're like looking for a W team to kind of adopt or be like, oh shit, this is where I want to go, go Golden State Valkyries. Like a long time ago, him and I both kind of pushed Aces on everyone and still love the Aces, love their style of play. But the Valkyries, their style of play, it is going to be that relentless basketball. It's going to be like that toughness. Like even if they're not going to win every single game, it's like you're going to have fun watching them. And that's already what I felt from preseason and this first game. So like even in this first game, you know they want to play this fast-paced style of basketball. Sometimes they were just playing fast, so it wasn't under control. And you saw the chaotic nature of the turnovers, all the different things. But then they're down and they had to scratch and crawl to get back in it. And they're doing it with their second unit. They were doing it with Julie Van Loo knocking down these deep threes and just playing basketball the right way. And so I would say with the Valkyries, they're going to have different challenges, but they're going to have these really exciting times and like surprise a lot of people. Kate Martin, I know for a lot of people, she's like a WNBA favorite. So she's out there. She didn't have the best game in her 21 minutes in that one, but I feel like she's someone that that plays better when she takes more threes. Oh, head coach Natalie Nakase, who also was under Ty Lue with the Clippers, then Becky Hammond with the Aces, now head coach of the Valkyries. You guys, she's like such a tough love person that she's like, oh, we play with so much joy, but we're also going to kill everybody out there. Like that's literally what she said in the pregame. So like expect her to expect so much out of these players as killers.
And I thought Golden State did a good job with the rebounding too. And that's going to be something they could struggle with if they're not all locked in. The size isn't crazy and going up against some of these bigger teams could be challenging.
Well, and the Sparks, a very big team. No Cameron Brink, as everyone knows, she's still recovering, trying to get healthy. But you think about even like Rakia Jackson, who's like, plays so much bigger, but then go to De'Erica Hamby, who is a big, who rebounds the shit out of the basketball. She finished with a double-double, had 10 boards. And I thought the way that the Valkyries were just positioning themselves, they're like, okay, well, we might be shorter out here, but we're going to find a way to make sure to get that bounce, to make sure to have a nose for the ball, get those rebounds. They out-rebounded them, like you said.
It was 33-27, which was good. That was really good. And they won the second chance point battle 12-3. They had 9 offensive rebounds. I was impressed with Benley because she is kind of at that swing spot. Like, they want her to stretch the floor, and she's never been a three-point shooter in the WNBA. I read an article in the Chronicle talking about how she attempted 18 threes her entire WNBA career, but she was shooting more overseas a little bit, and they want her to. She knocked down 2 of 4 from downtown, and
they were huge threes.
Yeah.
They were missing all of their threes, and I feel like Natalie wants them to shoot a shit ton of threes. So in this one, where they were 9 of 35 in this game, just still trying to get that feel, whether it was in transition or spotting up. But they want to get those paint touches and get those sprays. Who does that sound like? Sacramento Kings?
Every NBA team.
Every NBA team. But Kelsey Plum does a fantastic job of that because she led the league last year in paint touches. She just knew how to get in there. But like you already said, she's in this different role too, even not being with the Aces. And so she's like, okay, well now I'm getting those paint touches and spraying out to maybe some younger people, maybe to Rakia Jackson, to make a move off the ball. And so I loved what I witnessed calling my first regular season WNBA game. I was so impressed with the grind, with the hustle.
And the atmosphere too. That's the other thing.
That was insane. And just the game, how it's always been good. It's now finally getting the love it deserves. But I also feel like it has evolved with that fast-paced style.
I think if you're listening to this or watching us right now and you're like an NBA fan and you don't watch the W, watch some games because I think you'll be impressed. I think there's a case to be made that from a watchability standpoint, the WNBA's regular season is more especially early on. It's just a better overall watch from a competitive standpoint. And, I think part of that is due to the fact that they play fewer games. They play 40 games now, right?
44.
Which is up.
Yeah.
I just think that, and there's fewer teams too. And so I just think it makes for a very compelling season.
Yeah.
Next up for them, by the way, they play Wednesday night in San Francisco at Chase. The Washington Mystics come to town. I'm going to go to the game.
Yeah, I love it. And then he's going to come up there. Hey, Morgan, I've been listening on headset. You're
lucky I won't be listening that night.
Thank God.
The Mystics, by the way, from Deuce Mason, a WNBA casual that wants to be a WNBA sicko.
Yeah.
I'm already a sicko, but you know what I mean.
No, I love hearing that.
The Mystics looked really good in their first game. I was like, all right, I saw the highlights. I want to watch them today because that's where Golden State's playing them next. Mystics now 2-0 after beating Atlanta, and then today they go on the road and beat the Connecticut Sun. My goodness, this team is fun. They won 90-85. The rookies, I think, are the co-headline with Brittany Sykes, who was an absolute bucket in this game. But this team plays fast. They share the ball. And Cintron,
yes,
and Kiki Irifen,
yeah,
is that
good job? Yeah, Irifen.
You sure?
I'm almost
Irifen. I hope I'm getting it right. Anyway, Kiki Irifen, they went back to back in the draft. These two rookies don't look like rookies to me.
No, and that's the best thing about with Kiki so far. I mean, she just looks like not only it's like you belong. You're a rookie and you belong. No, she's making an impact. I mean, she'll just have like a play where they swing the ball to her and she takes one step back, shooting a little mid-range shot, right? And she's a big player. She can get things done around the rim as well. She plays with so much confidence. And then even in that first game that we watched, I remember, or the first game we watched the highlights and we were like, oh man, the ball movement is great. In this game today that was on at like 10 a.m. Against the Sun, it was like, everything seemed a little bit more stagnant, but oh my God, and the Sun had a huge lead on them. And I was like, what the hell are we watching? And then the Mystics just kept fighting back because they started playing faster. They kept moving the ball around. And I feel like Cintron does such a great job of not only moving the ball around fast and making quick decisions as like a guard, she moves without the basketball.
That's what, yeah. And
actions that they were putting her in, I mean, or anyone else, it's like she'll pass, backdoor, and then if she's met with someone at the rim with long arms, because she's a guard and it's a different game. You're not going to be able to just battle through a body and finish at the rim if you're a guard in this league all the time. But so with her, she would make the right decision. The big would come over and she'd make that extra pass to the other big, whether it was at the rim or flared out to the three. And it was just beautiful basketball.
Yeah, she had 15 points, 3 assists, 2 steals. A good size too.
Yes.
6'1". The off-ball movement was a lot of fun to see. Irifen, is it Irifen?
Do you want me to?
I feel like I want to hear it.
Let me just hear it.
Am I crazy?
No, because I think
it's
you're
Kiki
right.
Irifen. I just don't want to mess it up, and I feel like I get my own head with my with names sometimes.
And I'd rather just have you.
Okay, this is so stupid. Irifen. Anyway, Kiki Irifen, 17 points, 14 rebounds, 7 of 10 shooting. And she had to deal with Tina Charles at times and the physicality. The foul trouble is probably going to be an issue at times for a young player in this league, especially a big. But I was impressed with her ability. Like, she could handle a little bit.
Yeah.
Putting the ball on the floor, I think offensively, she looks more ahead defensively. I don't know. Maybe the physicality can be a problem every once in a while, but I feel like she moves well defensively, can switch. I like her game.
For the Rooks, super excited for the Mystics. And obviously the Valkyries are going to have a lot to handle, but also they're going to, like you already mentioned with Brittany Sykes, she got to the free throw line so much because she's so goddamn quick, can get to the rim, can get into the paint whenever she wants. She was 11 to 13 at the free throw line, finished with 27 points. You guys, they had to battle back. The biggest lead that the Sun had was 15. And sometimes I feel like in the W, there's been times where it's like, if it's even a 10-point game, it kind of you kind of understand what team is which, what's going on. The talent is just it's different now. And I feel like teams, because more and more talent is being added to this league, it's becoming where it's not just like, this team's good, this team's bad. It's like, no, any team on any night can win. And the Mystics this morning did a great job in so many different ways, battling back.
Outscored the Sun 30-20 in the fourth quarter, 90-85 was the final. And it was impressive too, because the final minute, Sykes, who had been kind of the person who was kind of leading the charge, getting them into their shit, attacking, like Morgan said, she fouls out with just over a minute to go and a 3-point lead. And you're wondering, all right, how is this team going to handle things? And Citron late with a beautiful take to the basket, physical, finishing at the rim. It was really good shit. Also, shout out to Jade Melvin, who is still a young player. I thought she did a good job off the bench, pushing the pace. And that's what they need to do, get into their offense. She had 15 off the bench.
Yeah, just, again, a really fun game. Valkyries are going to have a tough time with the Mystics coming up on Wednesday. I first,
good test.
Yeah, because obviously Mystics, not the greatest team last year. They did a good job of bouncing back after a slow start and everything. But you think about this Valkyries team, and even when I get all these notes that come in on my email of like kind of telling you the story of both teams, storylines of both teams. There's no information on the Valkyries because there's nothing to go off of from the last year. So it's just kind of exciting to see like, okay, they get to build that and start that this year.
Last game, of course, had everybody's attention. Caitlin Clark taking on the Chicago Sky. Angel Reese in that game. Indiana, 93-58, just pure domination. I am just watching the Fever this year versus last year. What a difference, right? You've got a new head coach. So much more firepower. Adding Bonner and Natasha Howard. They just look like a deep team. Caitlin Clark's a stud. Aaliyah Boston was really strong. A double-double for her. She had 19 points, 13 rebounds, and 5 blocks. And then late in the game, they hunted for Caitlin Clark to get that last rebound. So she got that triple-double, 20 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, 4 blocks, 2 steals.
How'd you feel about that?
It's whatever.
Okay.
I mean, what like, are we going to get mad at it?
Well,
like, everyone wants to see a triple-double. I'm always like, what does it actually mean? You get one more. I mean, if she finished with 20, 10, and 9, are we going, oh, she didn't have a good game. That one more rebound with the triple-double. It's whatever. She was good. She was really good.
She was really good. I mean, there was moments like you are comparing her game to Steph Curry because she's taking one dribble and taking the shot 30 feet out. And it's wild how teams will just have to stay on her like glue, deny the shit out of her, and she'll still find a way to get open. And when she gets that little bit of space and feels confident, she'll either take the shot, but then she'll also make the right play. She'll have a few bullets. Like there was a few turnovers I feel like she had. They might have ended up calling the turnover on the teammate that couldn't get the pass. But I felt like she does a really good job of leading her teammates with the basketball, and they're still trying to learn her when she does those things that like catch it and go. Take it. You don't need to take a dribble. You don't need to take a power dribble and go up to the rim. Catch it, 2-step, boom, get your layup going. You know, when you're running the floor, she will find you. She's a quarterback out there. And so those things they're still trying to connect on.
Indiana, by the way, showed out for that game. 17,000 in the building for Sky Fever.
I think every game is like sold out for them.
I do think watching Indiana, I know you want opening weekend overreactions. I think they're one of the best teams in the league. I mean, I think New York Liberty won still.
Yep.
They've got the depth, the experience, star power.
So good against the Aces. Yeah.
And it was a game Sabrina didn't even play well.
Yeah.
And they still handled their business against the Aces. So they're up there. I think Indiana's up there.
That's fine. And,
I do.
I even think the addition of like Stephanie White is kind of underrated.
I do
times.
too.
Especially when she's coaching a star like Caitlin Clark, and just their relationship, the understanding of how to change Caitlin's role of like, hey, you have players around you now, so you don't have to do everything.
And I felt like early on, like there was some opportunities for her to get her teammates involved, and she was. It's like it is finding the balance, because you want Caitlin Clark to be aggressive looking for hers, but you're right, there's so much tension on you. You've got the help around you. You've got other people who can score, and I think it's going to make life easier too, like the additions for someone like Aaliyah Boston, who's really talented. And you know, the spacing at times is kind of out of whack last year. Now there's just so much more talent for Indiana. Of course, that game happened, and everyone's talking about the whole Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark situation that led to Caitlin Clark being called for a flagrant foul in the game. It's so funny watching the narratives and seeing who actually watches basketball versus who doesn't, and who just wants to hop on like this narrative, the narrative stuff. Let's just break down what happened, okay?
Break down what happened.
Angel Reese getting a little physical underneath. With, which, by the way, happens a lot in this game, where you see her trying to get a rebound, a little push in the back, a little push in the back to create
Leah
space
Boston.
to get a rebound, right? And
do your thing.
She got it.
Yep.
And Caitlin Clark looks at the ref like, what the hell? You didn't call that? Then comes over with swipes down a hard foul on Angel Reese and a slight little shove to the back.
Sure.
And Angel Reese gets up and is like pissed at it.
Love it.
And Caitlin Clark looks, kind of walks away.
She's like, I'm not, no.
And Angel Reese is heated. And I spent a lot of time thinking about this because I go from all perspectives.
Well, wait, the refs go to the ref.
Yeah. And they deem it as a flagrant foul on Caitlin
There
Clark.
You go.
Yeah. One, think about this. You're Angel Reese. You get that offensive rebound. Caitlin Clark comes over, swipes down hella hard,
Backs the shit out of you.
Pushes you. You might jump up and say something. If it's someone else besides Caitlin Clark, I think Angel Reese is getting up and saying something.
Still saying something.
I think I was playing pickup basketball and someone did that to me.
Oh, I'm
getting up
something.
and saying something, right? And then from Caitlin Clark's perspective, she's irritated because the refs missed a call. And she's like, I'm not allowing an easy two. I'm coming over and...
Fair hard foul.
Yeah,
fair hard foul. And it's a flagrant foul because your intention is to like come down hard. Yes.
I know. I personally, I was like, I don't know if it's a flagrant. It's definitely, I mean, obviously it's a foul, it's a hard foul, but whatever, borderline, whatever you want to call it. I'm like, this happens in basketball. Like,
thank you.
Why are
that
we?
Is it.
Why are we acting like there's like some ulterior motives on both sides? Like, oh, they hate each other, and this is why it happens. Like, no, this happens in basketball sometimes.
Thank you.
It's a physical game, and people who, even if people like each other, this shit happens.
People have a tough time, and sometimes it's an unconscious bias for a lot of people that watch sports, and especially women's sports. They have this thing where they have a tough time seeing women be aggressive with one another and being tough to one another. And it's like, oh my God, let's talk about this like it's drama. I will never forget when this asshole person in sports radio, because I was getting in a debate with another woman, he goes, cat fight.
Ugh.
And it's like, no, bro, it's just two basketball people debating basketball, but you're too big of a dumb shit to realize that. So my whole point to that being is like, people do these things with, and it's like, no. They're just two hoopers. They're just doing what they need to do out there, and let it be. And you can talk about it. You can be like, oh shit, that just happened. Oh man, love the aggressive nature, whatever. But when we build it into something that it doesn't need to be, is when it's just like, all right, we need less casuals out there trying to work on these storylines and actually watch some hoops, okay?
Well, it turns into something that's way bigger than it is. And it's like, no, like these...
Yeah. No, thank you for bringing that up.
I'm trying to think who recently said this. It might have been Asia. Talking about, like, she's like, I think if you're a reporter covering the league, that you should be able to like play basketball a little bit. And not saying that play like at their level, but just be able to understand the game. That made me laugh. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of true.
She wasn't saying like you had to play like, oh, you had to be on a college team, you had to be on a high school. You didn't have to be on a team, but you should be able to play the sport. And I love that because the way she was going about it, she wasn't talking shit about people who just read about the sport and want to cover it. She was more just being like, you get to understand all the intimate details of like being competitive, a sprint, being explosive on something, even when you can't be explosive because you're just like some, average Joe that's just going out there on the court and trying to play. And you're like, holy shit, that's hard. So when I do complain why someone wasn't explosive in this fast break, maybe I have a little bit more of an understanding. Loved it.
I'm just glad we got NBA playoff basketball right now. Start at the W. Let's go.
Hell yeah.
Final thoughts, Morgan?
I love that we got some W in our lives. I love that you and I like are taking that on this year in a different way because look, every year when postseason NBA basketball ends and like we've been dabbling in the W, it's like, no. Let's embrace. It's 90 minutes away from us. I'm literally one of the broadcasters. There's no reason why we can't have basketball in our lives every single week in this offseason of NBA.
I agree. My final thought actually has to do with basketball. I was in Santa Barbara this week. I went and saw the Jack White concert, which if you guys haven't seen Jack White, you don't have to be, I'm not like some hardcore Jack White guy. Like he's not on my Spotify Wrapped at the end of the year. But when guys can cook,
He's an artiste.
I was telling my friend Dylan at the show, I said, this is like watching an NBA player on a heater, like a great NBA. And I'm just like, and like, then we're sitting after the show, like, hey, if Jack White was an NBA player, who would he be? Where you're like, he's great, but maybe underappreciated slightly.
Okay, who was he?
The
though?
name I pitched one name that got immediate pushback.
Oh.
I said Kyrie Irving.
Okay.
Because Kyrie's just such a joy to watch, but maybe underappreciated.
Yeah.
We landed on Kevin Durant, which I think
Ooh,
KD
that's
is like,
a good one.
he's like, but I almost think that might be too strong for Jack White. I don't think people talk about Jack White as a musician as like one of the elites.
I think true artists do, like people that like true music junkies. Like I'm not a music junkie, but I think there's true music junkies who like it's even if they like one genre of music, they appreciate him in his artistic ability from a Kevin Durant level.
So that was one thing. That was just a brief thing. So
Yeah.
then I also played 2 days of basketball. They have this thing at UCSB called Noon Hoops that you can go to. And so I played, and come to find out, when they used to play 5-on-5, they play 5-on-5. They used to play just by ones.
Okay. Oh,
yeah.
I've played here years ago. I did it. I did
by
noon
ones.
hoops, but I don't remember. Okay.
Not ones and twos, by
Okay.
one. So why would you ever take a three? Like,
Yeah,
you know
just
what I mean?
take the best
So
shot.
they just adopted playing twos and threes. Awesome.
Okay.
Okay, great. Great adjustment. Welcome to 2025.
Love it.
1955 in
Okay.
Santa Barbara.
Proceed.
Then we're like getting ready to play, and my buddy Dylan, he takes off his shirt. I'm like, what are we
You're
doing
like,
here?
whoa.
And then another guy does, and I realize, oh, we play shirts and skins out here. We do not need to play shirts and skins in 2025. I had to play with my shirt off 2 games in a row, which, in some regard, you're like, almost feel bad because, we've done this comparison before and people understand it.
Yeah.
It's like my body and Jaylen Brown's body, very similar in terms
Got
of
it.
just being so cut. and
Chiseled,
ripped, and
yeah.
you feel bad. Like other people have to see that.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, I'm thinking, I don't want my shirt off right now, but I'd rather have my shirt off because I want to defend someone with their shirt off and they're all sweaty. Like, dude, it's not that hard. I know the 5 who are on my team, and I'm going to play. We can leave our clothes on. I even said to him, what if we played shirts and skins, but it was bottoms? That'd be weird, right? Then why are we doing it with the top? Why are we doing it with the top? I don't want to. I'm playing basketball. When I go play at the YMCA, you know what I do? I bring a reversible jersey. Oh, I'm wearing dark. Now I'm wearing white. You know what I mean? Why do we do that?
As someone who always leaves their shirt on, yes, I agree.
It's stupid.
No, well, and that's the thing. I mean, like, I wouldn't even do. Like, obviously, I would be wearing a sports bra, but like, I don't give a shit. I wear a sweatshirt while I play.
I'm sorry. You say you're wearing a sports bra. Non-shirts and skins.
No,
Everything
Yeah,
comes
yeah,
off.
no,
You're
no.
topless.
That's
at
disgusting.
UCSB.
No,
There was
no,
3
no.
women out there, and they were just everyone.
No, they were not. Were there any women playing out there though?
No.
But they would have been no matter what on the shirts team.
Maybe.
No, that would have been
I
it.
don't
But
know.
either way.
But what are we doing?
Yeah.
So that was my final
No,
thought today.
I hate playing when men, like, obviously there's a lot of men that will play with their shirts on, or even they'll have the cutoffs and you're just trying to guard them and it's
Ugh,
like slimy and I'm just like, barf. Can
Yeah.
I throw up right now?
Yeah, and I wasn't like,
What?
I'm not like, my chest isn't very like hairy. It's not, I have like patches of hair. Like I'm pretty bare.
Okay.
But there's enough there now. As I'm getting older, I'm like, oh my God, I'm in my late 20s.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I wasn't groomed. If I had to take my shirt off, I'm shaving my chest. I'm shaving my belly a little bit. I'm looking nice and trim. You know what I
Really?
mean? Yeah, maybe I do a spray tan. I don't know.
You do a spray, you spray on abs.
Yeah. Spray on more abs. I don't know if you could do more.
Oh yeah. No, a 10-pack instead of an 8-pack. I'm sorry.
All right, my final thoughts.
I love
Appreciate you guys so much for hanging out. I know we covered like a little bit of everything today. So in the comments below, let us know how you feel. You can always email the show, deuceandmo@gmail.com. We love you guys, but we gots to go.
We'll talk to you soon. You all have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. See ya.
Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. They tell you what they know. Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. The podcast that you know. Deuce